Hey Vikings Nation, what's up Purple family? Strap in, because today we're talking about a move that might not grab headlines like a superstar signing, but could end up defining the Minnesota Vikings' future in a massive way. This is about identity, aggression, and a defense that's starting to scare quarterbacks across the league. Here's the teaser. While the rest of the NFL keeps trying to steal him away, the Vikings locked him down. Brian Flores is back. And the people who know football best are saying Minnesota just made one of the smartest decisions of the entire offseason. So stay with me, because we're breaking down why Brian Flores returning for another season could be the difference between the Vikings being competitive and being truly dangerous. Vikings fans, let's start with the big news. Minnesota officially signed Brian Flores to a contract extension on January 21st, keeping him in purple for a fourth straight season. That kind of continuity on the defensive side of the ball is rare in today's NFL. Under head coach Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings have emphasized stability and growth, and this move screams exactly that. Flores isn't just another coordinator. He's the architect of a defensive identity that's been forming week after week. Ask yourself this. When was the last time opposing quarterbacks looked genuinely uncomfortable against Minnesota? That's not an accident. And it's why this extension matters so much. Around the NFL, analysts immediately reacted, and the tone was clear. This was a win for the Vikings. NFL insiders see Flores as one of the most respected defensive minds in the game, and retaining him wasn't easy. Vikings Entertainment Network's Tatum Everett, reporting from Radio Row during Super Bowl 60 week in San Francisco, caught up with multiple NFL voices who couldn't stop praising Flores' impact. And when national voices start talking about your defensive coordinator unprompted, you know you're doing something right in Minnesota Vikings news. NFL media's Judy Battista didn't mince words when she talked about Brian Flores. She called him a really, really good defensive coach. And that's putting it lightly. Battista highlighted how Flores' schemes confuse quarterbacks of all experience levels. Veterans, rookies, doesn't matter. When they face a Flores defense, you can literally see the hesitation and mental overload. Her conclusion said it all. The Vikings were very lucky to retain him. No question. Let me ask you, when was the last time Minnesota was described as lucky to keep a coach instead of losing him? That confusion factor is key. Flores thrives on aggression, disguise, and unpredictability. Quarterbacks line up thinking they see one thing, and the snap tells a completely different story. This isn't reckless blitzing. It's calculated chaos. It's pressure with purpose, forcing offenses to rush decisions and abandon game plans. That's the kind of defense that travels in January. And Vikings fans, doesn't it feel like Minnesota is finally building something built for the postseason? Former NFL defensive back Devin McCourty knows Brian Flores better than most. The two overlapped in New England when Flores coached safeties before moving to linebackers. McCourty said Flores meant a lot to his career and credited him with teaching a deeper understanding of the game. That's not just scheme, that's mentorship. When former players speak like that, it tells you Flores isn't just drawing up plays. He's developing professionals, and that culture now lives inside the Minnesota Vikings defense. What really stands out is Flores' willingness to evolve. McCourty emphasized that Flores is never static, never stuck in one system. Early in New England, defenses showed heavy pressure looks and rotated into simple zones. Today, Flores mixes 3 or 4 different zone concepts off the same pre-snap look. That evolution is deadly. Offenses prepare for what worked last year, and Flores shows them something new. That adaptability is exactly what elite defenses are built on. McCourty also pointed out how Flores challenges players. This isn't a soft system. It's demanding, physical, and mentally exhausting for both sides of the ball. Flores expects players to rise to the challenge, and when they do, the payoff is massive. Tough coaches build tough defenses, and that's what Minnesota is becoming. Do you see it too? This Vikings defense doesn't back down anymore. They attack. One of the most fascinating stories McCourty shared was about Flores attacking elite offensive minds. When the Vikings faced coaches like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, Flores wasn't reactive, he was proactive. McCourty even texted Flores, saying, "You kind of figured it out. Flores responded that he spent the entire offseason studying how to attack those systems. That right there is the difference between good and great. Flores isn't waiting for trends, he's hunting them. Former quarterback and NBC analyst Chris Sims echoed that sentiment. Sims has known Flores since their early days and didn't hesitate to praise Minnesota for keeping him. Sims called Flores a genius on the defensive side of the ball, highlighting his creativity and willingness to take risks most coaches wouldn't even consider. And yet, despite all that creativity, Sims emphasized something crucial. Flores' defenses are sound. That balance is rare and incredibly valuable. Sims also talked about Flores as a person. Detailed, motivated, tough. Those traits bleed into the locker room. He joked that Flores being from Brooklyn, New York explains why his defenses play with such an edge. But there's truth behind the humor. This isn't finesse defense. This is an identity. And Minnesota finally has one. Even though Flores didn't land a head coaching job this cycle, the interest was real. NFL media's Cynthia Freland noted that organizations like Pittsburgh don't interview just anyone. Those interviews are validation. They show that Flores is respected league-wide and viewed as a serious leader. And the fact that he's still in Minnesota? That's a massive win for Vikings fans who want continuity and credibility. Freland also made a great point about strategy. Having Flores locked in helps the Vikings immensely when it comes to free agency and the draft. When your defensive identity is clear, you know exactly what type of players you need. Aggressive, versatile, smart. That clarity gives the Vikings an edge during evaluation season, and it could shape the roster for years to come. Let's be honest, defenses don't become elite overnight. They're built through vision, repetition, and trust. By extending Brian Flores, the Minnesota Vikings are saying, this is who we are. They're committing to aggression, confusion, and adaptability. And that's how contenders are built. Not with constant resets, but with belief in the process. So Vikings fans, I want to hear from you. Do you think Brian Flores is the most important non-player in the organization right now? Do you believe this defense can take the next step and become elite under his leadership? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate it like true Minnesota Vikings fans. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of Minnesota Vikings news, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with every member of the Purple family. Skol. Purple Heart American Football.